Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. On March 17, 1946, a shocking piece of news suddenly spread through the streets and alleys of Shanghai. General Dai Li had died in a plane crash. This powerful head of the Military Bureau of Investigation and Statistics, the Kuomintang Secret Service, left the world forever at the peak of his influence and ambition. In a corner of Shanghai, Hu Jie felt a whirlwind of emotions upon hearing the news. For the past 3 years, she had been placed under house arrest by General Dai, losing her freedom. Just a few days prior, she had been forced to annul her marriage with her husband Pan Yusheng. According to General Dai's plan, she was to marry him next. Now that Dai Li was gone, where would Hu Jie's future lead? She stood at a crossroads in life. According to historical records, Hu Jie was a household name in 1940s China. She was a superstar of Chinese cinema, praised for her stunning beauty and hailed as the Queen of Cinema and the most beautiful woman of the Republic. But her story extended far beyond the glamorous lights of the silver screen. Hu Jie's life was a legendary tale full of hardships and difficult choices. A story about love, freedom, and perseverance. It all began in 1941, when the Japanese army occupied Hong Kong. In order to whitewash their invasion, the Japanese authorities planned to produce a film promoting Sino-Japanese friendship. They set their sights on Hu Jie, hoping this famous actress would lend her face and voice to their propaganda. Hu Jie's beauty and influence made her a top target for their efforts. But Hu Jie was not someone who would compromise easily. She had her own principles. To reject the Japanese offer, she lied and said she was pregnant and needed rest, skillfully declining the role. Hu Jie knew the danger of staying in Hong Kong was growing. She quietly contacted the Dongjiang guerrilla force and began planning a secret escape. In 1942, Hu Jie and her family set out on a journey of flight. They crossed mountains and rivers, and after more than 20 grueling days, finally made their way from Hong Kong to Guangdong, eventually arriving in Chongqing on November 24. This arduous journey left Hu Jie both physically and emotionally exhausted. And she suffered a major blow. She lost all of her over 30 pieces of luggage. These suitcases contained nearly all her possessions, the wealth she had accumulated through years of hard work. Upon arriving in Chongqing, Hu Jie temporarily stayed at the home of her friend Lin Jiming. Lin Jiming's husband, Yang Hu, was the garrison commander of Shanghai. Due to the Japanese attack on Shanghai, he had relocated his family to Chongqing. To welcome Hu Jie, Lin Jiming hosted a private gathering, inviting several prominent figures from politics, the military, and the film industry. In the midst of the lively banquet, a voice suddenly announced from outside, "Director Dai has arrived." It was Dai Li, the powerful head of the Nationalist Secret Service. As soon as he entered the room, his eyes were drawn to Hu Jie. Her poise and beauty left him deeply impressed. No wonder she's called the Queen of Cinema, he thought to himself. In that moment, General Dai Li conceived a desire. He wanted to possess her. Upon hearing that Hu Jie had lost her luggage during her escape, General Dai seized the opportunity and offered to help. He told her, "Miss Hu, leave this matter to me. You don't need to worry." To reassure her, Dai spared no expense. Based on the list she provided, he repurchased all of the lost items and personally delivered them to her. Hu Jie, wise and perceptive, quickly saw through General Dai's intentions. She understood that this powerful figure was not someone she could reject outright. Faced with Dai Li's persistent pursuit, Hu Jie felt helpless and had no choice but to temporarily submit to his plans. Using his authority, Dai Li transferred Hu Jie's husband, Pan Yusheng, to work in Kunming, causing Hu Jie great anxiety. To comfort her, Dai arranged for the best doctors to treat her, and even moved her and her family into his private residence at Wangjian. But that was only the beginning. Soon after, Dai Li, under the pretense of ensuring her safety, had Hu Jie relocated alone to Geli Mountain. This was a stronghold of the Military Bureau of Investigation and Statistics. Ordinary people had no access. And even bureau personnel needed special clearance to enter. Hu Jie completely lost her freedom and became a caged bird under Dai Li's control. To win her favor, Dai spared no expense. He had fresh fruits airlifted from India, gave her luxurious jewelry and fashionable clothes, and even built a villa with a garden for her on Geli Mountain, offering stunning views and a prime location. But no amount of material generosity could win Hu Jie's heart. She knew clearly that her marriage with Pan Yusheng was still valid. And Dai Li also had a family of his own. Neither of them wanted to make their relationship public, fearing public criticism. But Dai Li was falling deeper and deeper. He told Hu Jie, "The greatest wish of my life is to marry you." Hu Jie knew she couldn't change Dai's mind, but for the sake of her family's safety, she could only play along. She told him they could talk about marriage after the war ended, trying to buy time. For 2 years, Hu Jie carefully maintained the facade, making Dai believe she was willing to accept him. Later, Dai arranged for her to return to Shanghai, and had people handle the divorce procedures between her and Pan Yusheng. Dai planned to marry her officially once everything was ready, and live the life he had always dreamed of. But fate had other plans. On March 17, 1946, Dai Li, who was originally scheduled to fly from Qingdao to Shanghai to discuss wedding matters with Hu Jie before returning to Chongqing for a meeting, died in a plane crash due to severe weather. All 13 people on board perished. Dai Li's life came to an abrupt end. When Hu Jie heard the news of Dai Li's death, she couldn't sleep all night. She grieved for the 3 years of lost freedom, and felt lost about the uncertain future. What she wished for most was to return to Pan Yusheng's side. But they were already divorced, and she hadn't seen the children for 3 years. How would they see her now? Hu Jie's heart was full of unease. Just as her thoughts spiraled, a familiar voice came from outside. Hu Jie looked up. Pan Yusheng was standing before her, with the 2 children. The kids shouted, "Mama," and rushed into her arms. Tears welled up in Hu Jie's eyes as she held them tightly. Though they were not her biological children, the bond they shared had long surpassed blood. Pan Yusheng looked at the scene before him, overwhelmed with emotion. He had come with so much to say. But when he saw Hu Jie, he simply said, "Hu Jie, come home." It was a simple sentence, but filled with deep affection. Hu Jie wiped her tears and looked at Pan Yusheng, wanting to say something. But he interrupted her, "Don't say anything. Come back with me." His tone was urgent, as if afraid she might hesitate. Hu Jie calmed herself. She knew there were things that needed to be said clearly. She softly told him, "Yusheng, these past 3 years with Dai Li were all an act. Now that he's gone, this charade should end too. When we divorced in Shanghai, I said many hurtful things, but none of them were true. As it turned out, Hu Jie had deliberately said harsh things during the divorce proceedings, to protect Pan Yusheng's safety. That was the only time they saw each other in those 3 years. Pan Yusheng stepped closer and said sincerely, "I know how much you sacrificed over these 3 years to protect our whole family. I never believed a word you said during the divorce. You don't have to worry about my feelings." Upon hearing those words, a weight was finally lifted from Hu Jie's heart. She and Pan Yusheng had been in love for 6 years, enduring war and separation together. Back then, she had turned down countless powerful suitors and chosen this ordinary man because of his sincerity and reliability. Looking back now, she realized her choice had been right. Hu Jie stepped forward and gently embraced Pan Yusheng. "As long as you still trust me, can we start over?" Pan Yousheng nodded, visibly moved. Of course I want that. You're the only woman I've ever loved. You'll always be my wife. I never took the divorce to heart. It was my fault, I wasn't capable enough, and you suffered because of it. In that moment, all of Hu Jie's fears melted away. She and Pan Yousheng held each other tightly. After all the trials and tribulations, their love had only grown stronger. In the autumn of 1946, Hu Jie moved with her family from Shanghai to Hong Kong. At 38, she still loved acting. While Pan Yousheng used the savings from his business ventures in Yunnan to establish Xinghe Trading Company. The couple supported each other, and their life gradually improved. Pan Yousheng, however, couldn't shake a lingering dissatisfaction. He knew that General Dai Li had once provided Hu Jie with a life of luxury. And he wanted to give her the same comfort through his own efforts. So he threw himself into his business with determination, vowing to build a better future for their family. Hu Jie soon received a film offer from the newly established Grand China Film Company in Hong Kong. Though the company was new, it had strong resources and many of her old friends on the team. Excited by the opportunity, Hu Jie eagerly accepted. Pan Yousheng fully supported her dream and said with a smile, "If it's what you want, then go for it." Unfortunately, the film didn't make much of an impact after its release. But Hu Jie didn't mind, she simply wanted to relive the joy of acting. Seeing how hard Pan Yousheng was working, she offered, "You're working so hard. Why don't I help you out?" With sharp business instincts, Pan Yousheng registered the Butterfly brand for their products, leveraging Hu Jie's fame. Their business flourished, especially the Butterfly brand thermos bottles, which sold particularly well in Southeast Asia. Under Pan's guidance, Hu Jie gradually transitioned from actress to a capable businesswoman. But happiness was fleeting. In 1949, Pan Yousheng was diagnosed with liver cancer, a virtually incurable disease at the time. Hu Jie was devastated. She gave up all work to stay by his side day and night, hoping to give him comfort in his final days. A few months later, his condition rapidly deteriorated. Lying in bed, he was nothing but skin and bones, his breathing barely audible. Seeing the exhausted Hu Jie, his heart ached. With great difficulty, he whispered, "Hu Jie, I used to be a healthy man, but now I've been reduced to this." After Pan Yousheng's death, Hu Jie was overwhelmed with grief. She withdrew from the public eye and remained virtually silent for the next 10 years. It wasn't until 1959 that Hong Kong's Shaw Brothers studio approached her with an offer to return to film. After careful consideration, Hu Jie accepted. Partly for financial reasons, and partly to find a new sense of purpose. Yet Hu Jie remained clear-headed. She said, "An actor can't always play the lead. As we age, we should take on roles that suit us. Even if my name is last on the poster, in the smallest font, I don't mind." Hu Jie went on to star in several films, including Street Kids, Two Women, and The Back Door. The Back Door won Best Picture at the 7th Asian Film Festival. And her outstanding performance earned her Best Actress, crowning her as Asian Film Queen. In that moment, Hu Jie reached a new peak in her acting career. In 1966, at the age of 58, Hu Jie completed her final film, The Woman in the Pagoda, and decided to retire from the screen completely to enjoy her later years. Her children were all grown, her daughter and son-in-law had moved to the United States, while her son and daughter-in-law had settled in Canada. Following her children's advice, Hu Jie moved to Vancouver, Canada. There, she lived a simple yet fulfilling life. She often played mahjong with friends or took walks in Chinatown to ease her homesickness. In her memoir, she wrote, "I will spend the rest of my life in a foreign land. But my longing for my homeland's landscapes and my loved ones has never ceased." In 1990, at the age of 82, Hu Jie decided to give up the stage name she had used for 66 years and changed her name to Pan Baowan. Baowan was the name her parents had given her as a child, and she added her late husband's surname, Pan, to honor his memory. On the evening of April 23, 1989, Hu Jie passed away peacefully in Vancouver at the age of 81. Her final words were softly spoken, "The butterfly is ready to fly away." According to her wishes, her children buried her next to Panyo Sheng. From then on, the couple who had weathered so many storms in life were finally reunited in another world. According to some historians, Hu Jie's life was as beautiful and fleeting as her name suggests. From screen goddess to savvy businesswoman, to her peaceful later years, she experienced countless ups and downs. In her own way, she preserved her dignity and love, leaving behind a legend of her time. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.